What's up, everybody? Welcome to Week 16 of the NFL season. I'm Gary Altuve back with another episode of Cherry Pickers. Here we're winding down the 2024 season, bringing you these picks against the spread here from our system, giving them out free all year long. We're going to continue to do so until the season is over. Let's get right into things. Last week, we had a tough week. We were on a 5-week run, all winning weeks, all weeks with great records. We had a 7-2 week. We had a 6-1 week. We had a couple 4-2 weeks. Last week we went 3-5. We were a couple plays away from a 5-3 week, and unfortunately it did not work out for us. We had a couple really close losses, some really the kind of losses that make you pull your hair out and say, what is happening here? But that is what they call variance. That is what happens in the world of sports gambling. Things like that happen, and you will have weeks where you'll lose like that, and weeks where you will win like that. You just have to be patient and disciplined enough to not lose too much on the bad weeks, and then be disciplined after a good week to not get yourself into any kind of trouble. Let's do a quick recap of last week. It was a really the kind of week where you're really wishing that the ball had bounced your way at least once or twice in the close games, because it could have made such a huge difference. First game we took the Dolphins getting plus 2.5 playing at Houston. I watched the game. The Dolphins just did not take advantage of their opportunities and kept blowing things. Just stupid things have happened to them this season, and that carried true in this game. They just, I don't know what it is with this Dolphins team. They, even when they're getting healthy, they can't win, but they've got some injuries. Their offensive line's not that great. Tua's been in and out of the lineup. Mike McDaniel could be on the hot seat. That's one to be seen, one to keep an eye on. We took them a plus 2.5. They lost by 8. Second game we won this game was Kansas City minus 4.5 against Cleveland. Kansas City did get a return touchdown, so that was kind of lucky. They still would have covered, though. 14-7, not much to say about this game. The Browns look better than the score, if you ask me. They just can't put it together. And Winston is too high of a variance of a player to win with this Cleveland team, where they just need some consistency on offense. But they're not trying to win this year, let's be honest. They're just playing for pride right now. So it's no surprise that they lost this. And Kansas City is too disciplined, and they're too consistent to not cover in a game like this one where Cleveland was making mistakes. Next game was the Pittsburgh Steelers heading to Philly. They were getting 5.5. I thought that was too much. The system thought that was too much. It probably should have been too much. Pittsburgh's driving. I think they're only down maybe 10 points or a touchdown, and they fumble. And at that fumble, I mean, the momentum was going Pittsburgh's way. They had the ball. They were driving. They were getting really close to the red zone. They fumbled, turned the ball over. From there, Philly just took over and controlled the rest of the game. But I wasn't aware that Pickens wasn't playing in that game. And if I had been aware, I probably would have took this game off the board, because he means that much to that offense there in Pittsburgh, and they just couldn't do much with the ball. Their defense played decent. I mean, they gave up points, but they didn't play horrible or anything. But the offense just did not do them any favors. And then we saw again yesterday without Pickens, the offense just struggles, and Wilson made a costly mistake yesterday that cost them dearly, and I think he fumbled again. So he didn't have a good couple games here. So we took a loss there. Next one, the Lions were 2-point favorites against Buffalo. Detroit turned the ball over inside their 5-yard line, gave up a touchdown directly thereafter to the Bills. That was the difference in the game. It was a 6-point final win for the Bills. Lions gave that up right there. I mean, had they just held or punted and maybe let their defense hold, they could have won and covered. But the Bills were looking at this game. We talked about this last week, that the Bills could have been caught looking ahead when they went to L.A. and played the Rams and lost. And I think that's exactly what happened, because they were so focused on this game. But who knows if Detroit just had a hiccup. I just feel like they've had so much good fortune. that, things, I don't know. They're a great team. Great teams find ways to win. They just had a lot of good fortune, and their aggressiveness. I think it came back to bite them a little bit. They went for it on some crazy situations in this game, like they always do. But I feel like if they would have made one or two less super aggressive decisions, they probably could have maybe kept this as a win. But either way, it did not come out, unfortunately for us. This next game, one I could just put my head through a wall over, and this team has made me a lot of money this season. Won me a lot of bets, and it's the Colts headed to Denver. They were getting 4.5 points right at the beginning of the third quarter. Beginning of the third quarter, it was about to be 20-7, the Colts. Let me give you some context here. The first 9 drives of Denver's offense, 5 punts, 3 interceptions, and 1 touchdown. Indy wasn't doing anything special with the ball. Anthony Richardson still driving me nuts. 17 for 38 for 172 yards. He's not an accurate quarterback. He's not an NFL quarterback. Let's get this science project put away. He's nothing more than a backup or a guy that can come in to do some special plays for you here and there. He can't complete 50% of his passes. But Indy hands the ball off to Jonathan Taylor. Beginning of the third quarter. They're up 13-7. They have the ball. He's running down the field. He gets to the half-yard line and drops the ball. He drops the ball at the half-yard line. What is it with these NFL players not finishing the play, not going all the way through the end zone and dropping the ball? It's like they're just doing it's so easy for them that I'm just going to drop it. I'm not going to spike it. I'm not going to throw it into the stands. I'm just going to drop it because this is so easy. I'm so good. I'm just going to drop the ball. Look at me. The ball isn't the focus. I'm the focus. Let me do this. Let me drop the ball. Wait till you get across the goal line, for the love of God, Jonathan Taylor. And I'll tell you what, just a few minutes before that, the Bengals did the same thing. They picked up a fumble. We're running it in for a touchdown, and the defender dropped the ball right before he got into the end zone. The old school guys on here will remember Deshaun Watson doing that in the Eagles game. He caught this long pass, and Deshaun Jackson, not Deshaun Watson, caught this long pass. It might even been from Donovan McNabb back then. Was running it into the end zone. Before he got in the end zone, he dropped the ball. That's the first time I remember seeing. I think maybe T.O. might have done it once, but it just seems to happen more and more often where these guys are dropping the ball before they get across the end zone. They're so focused on like the crowd and wanting the attention on themselves, and they just don't want the attention on anything but themselves. So they drop the ball. They don't get across the goal line. So what happens? He drops the ball. That costs them 7 points. And from there, the absolute wheels fell off. The Indianapolis Colts ended up losing the game by a couple scores. They were the better team. They were dominating. They were their defensive game plan was awesome. It's just the offense is just I don't get it. Richardson didn't help them with his under 50% passing. He threw 2 picks. He did run a touchdown and even caught a pass. But I don't get it with this team. They're frustrating. I would hate to be a Colts fan because you can see the talent. There's talent all around the team. They've got good defensive players. They've got some good offensive players on that team. They've got, role players, solid players. The offensive line is really good. They just can't put it together. Denver, I think, were gifted a game here because of the mistakes. That one was a real frustrating one. Next game, we took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting 3 points at the LA Chargers to cash easy. They waxed the Chargers. I told you guys last week, Chargers don't have a lot of offensive firepower. They just don't. And if games aren't going perfect for them, then it's tough for them to win. And they did not have a perfect game. They made some mistakes. And Baker Mayfield and that offense there with the Buccaneers does have they've got some players on that team. Mike Evans is on that team. The running game is really picking things up. The offensive line is pretty good. Baker Mayfield can be really dangerous sometimes. Their defense has a lot of good players, and it's just one of those games where things started to go Tampa's way, and it stayed that way. We were able to cash that. Next game, we took the Patriots getting 6.5 at Arizona. Arizona recovered a fumble in the end zone for a touchdown. If that hadn't happened, we cover that game. I told you last week, New England, we've been betting on them. We've been making some money with them, but they will cost us money because of stupid mistakes. And man, it happened this week. It was just a fumble in the end. It's just stupid stuff like that. You can make a lot of money on bad teams whose numbers are better than their record, but you have to know they're volatile. You have to know that their record is bad and their numbers aren't as bad because they make stupid mistakes. And that's what happened in this one. Last game we won. We took Minnesota -7 over the Bears. They covered more than that. Minnesota has been a cash cow for me this year. They've been making me a lot of money. They're just a very consistent team. Sam Darnold playing out of his mind. The defense is good. The offense is really good. The best receiver in the NFL, if you ask me, Justin Jefferson. They've got a good running game. They've got a good offensive line. Even with some injuries, they've been able to patch that offensive line up. Cam Robinson has been come in at tackle for them after they lost their starter, one of their best offensive linemen, and he's done a good job filling in there. It was a great trade for them. They're all in on this season. I don't think they're going to take a single game off. They are tied with Detroit now as far as records go, but they are in second place with Philly because of the tiebreakers, the way the NFL does the tiebreakers. So they're not going to slow down. So we went 3-5. That puts us at 31-17-2 in the last 6 weeks against the spread. That's with a 3-1 record with teasers thrown in there as well. Hey, we're making money. We are 14 games over 500 in that stretch. And overall, we're above 500 as well. We're hitting at about 55, 56%. That is what you need to really be able to make some money in this game. You got to be able to hit that or better. We're on a good run. Let's hope this continues this week. We're going to head to week 16. Just a few more weeks to go before we head to the playoffs. So we got to get these games in while we can. That's the bad thing about the NFL season, at least with us. We have to have 4 games completed with the same quarterback for a team to be eligible to play. So they have to start the game, they have to finish the game, and they have to have those 4 games in for us to be able to consider them. So we've got to wait until a minimum of week 5, and then if a quarterback gets hurt, he's in and out of the lineup, we've got to take those games out, blah, blah, blah. We don't get a long time to do it with the system that we use, so we got to get these games in when we can. Let's get this week started here, week 16. Before I do, just remember 1-800-GAMBLER is there for you for the information and resources you need if you feel like you have a gambling problem. First game here. We're heading to Chicago as the Bears take on the Lions. Lions are 7-point favorites. I said it before, I'll say it again. The system loves the Lions because they score points, because they're so aggressive. I don't think they're going to take this game off. I'm hoping that they'll just run the score up. I'm hoping that they're going to want to get back to where they were. As far as the wins go, get back to where they were as far as their momentum goes. All of those things. Let's hope Detroit gets back there. I'm going with Detroit -7. The system is going Detroit's -7. The Bears, they play admirably most of the season. Last few weeks, they don't look like they're there. They look like they're checked out. And when a team in the NFL checks out, you can forget it. They've got to still be playing with pride. The coaches, their coach is an interim coach. I don't know that he's really got a chance to become a head coach. I'm sure he wants to win. I'm sure that he's going to be trying to show what he can do. But, man, the players know they're not playing for this year. And I heard some rumors that the guys were talking about the offseason already. And, man, that's not a good thing if that happens. So we're taking Detroit -7 at Chicago. Lock it in, pick 1. Second game here. The Carolina Panthers are hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are -5.5 favorites. And there are only a couple books that are giving you 5.5. If you can find 5.5 or better, according to the system, go with the Panthers. Panthers didn't look good last week against Dallas. They got beat up, and they lost the game. It wasn't a good game. I don't know what happened there. They've been playing so well like the previous 4 games before that. They kind of fell off last week. I'm hoping they get back to where they were previously. Arizona's not They're not a real explosive team. They're a pretty average team according to the system. They're almost dead average. Carolina plays inspired football. Carolina is a below average team, but there's only about a 3.5 point difference according to the system between these two teams. And this is a 5.5 point line. We're going to take Carolina. It's a volatile team. It's a bad team. We know we proceed with caution there, but it looks like the money on Carolina getting 5.5 at home. It's also another good reason to take it. But Arizona's fighting for a playoff spot, and they can get hot on offense. Kyler Murray uses his legs, and they've got James Conner still there, Marvin Harrison Jr. still there. They've got a really nice young tight end there. Their defense is just bad, really. They don't have any playmaker. Budda Baker. They don't have any playmakers, but they seem to, in spurts or in certain games, they'll play really well. I hope this isn't one of them. Taking Carolina plus 5.5. Lock it in. Oh, the next one here. Two teams that I guess these two teams have been making us money because we've been betting on them when others haven't, but they're playing each other now. Tennessee is at Indy. Indy's a 3.5 point favorite. Now, this is if Will Levis starts. I'm pretty sure he is starting, but just in case he doesn't, check before you bet. We're going to take Tennessee getting 3.5 at Indy. I don't like it at all. Tennessee's, I don't know. I don't know how many games we've bet on them this season. They have won us some money, but Indy, after that embarrassing performance last week, I don't know. They're probably going to want to play a lot better at home, but it's a division game. We saw Tennessee go into Houston and whoop on the Texans. That Texans team's not that great. You remember me saying they're kind of an average team too. Maybe Tennessee will try to play spoiler here because Indy's hanging on for dear life in the playoff race. So we'll reluctantly take Tennessee plus 3.5, man. Taking Carolina and Tennessee back-to-back is rough to do here. The next game here, we're heading to New Jersey as the Jets host the Rams. Rams are 3-point favorites here. I don't know why. Jets have been favorites all season long. Rams are coming off. They come off a game against the 49ers where they won 12-6, where they should have lost. I'm not just saying this as a fan. Matt Stafford threw 3, maybe 4 passes that were in 49ers defenders' hands that 49ers dropped. I mean, he was terrible. The first half, his first couple passes were throws right to 49ers defenders. I mean, right in their hands. Talanoa Hufanga has a broken or torn ligaments in his hand or his wrist, so he's got this big wrap on his hands, and it was thrown like right here, and it bounced off because he couldn't grasp the ball. 49ers secondary dropped 2 interceptions in that game. Neither team got in the end zone. 49ers looked terrible, but the Rams should have lost that game. They were gifted that game, and I think this is probably a hangover from them beating the Bills at home 2 weeks ago. Not that the Jets are anything great, but they're playing at home, and I think Rodgers is feeling a little bit desperate. I don't think he wants to retire yet. The way he's talking, he's saying if the Jets decide to have me back, and if the organization is still wanting me around, I'll be here to mentor a young guy, and I'll try my best to keep him on the bench. He still wants to play. He's probably auditioning for another team. Mix that with a home game against this Rams team who's good in spurts, not good overall. I don't know. The Jets are getting 3 at home. They're volatile. Aaron Rodgers threw a pick 6 to a defensive lineman this year. First off, Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw picks, let alone pick 6, let alone to a 300-pound defensive lineman. Stuff like that's been happening this year for the Jets. It's disarray there. Ulbrich, their interim head coach, is I don't know how to put this mildly. He's a liability on that team. Some of the decisions that he makes is just terrible. There's a reason that he wasn't a head coach. He should not be. But saying all that, we're going to go with the Jets plus 3 here against the Rams. Hopefully Rodgers can get this team motivated and they can come through for us. And let's hope we can let's hope they're lining up for a field goal to win the game at the end there. So we're going to take the Jets plus 3. Lock it in. Next game, Minnesota at Seattle. The Vikings are 2.5-point favorites. Seattle's tough at home. Seattle's battling for their playoff lives. They are on the outside looking in now. They were leading the NFC West, but with the Rams winning and Seattle losing, they're now outside of the playoffs. They need this game bad, but Minnesota, I think, is just too tough. I think their defense is going to be too tough. I think their Seattle offensive line is going to struggle some. And, you still got Justin Jefferson. Unless Sam Darnold has, one of his ghost games where he's seeing ghosts. I don't know. System likes Minnesota -2.5. They've just been probably the most consistent team in the NFL all season. I mean, you could just bank on what you're going to get from them week in, week out, week in, week out. They've almost had no bad games. They had like one bad game against the Jags, and they still won. I mean, that was the most horrible game they played all year against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Luckily, it's the Jaguars, and they still come through with a win for them. So Minnesota -2.5. We'll see what happens. Lock it in. Next game. Miami Dolphins are hosting the 49ers. The 49ers are 2-point favorites here. After what you saw last week from the 49ers, I don't know how that's the case, but the public loves San Francisco. They're a public team. What does that mean? That means that a lot of people put a lot of money on San Francisco winning and covering. They're also one of the most popular teams in the NFL because they've been to, I think, the second most Super Bowls in NFL history. So all these years, they've had a lot of fans that have watched them. They get on the national broadcast. They were all over the TV in the 80s and 90s. So the people who were kids in the 80s and 90s are fans, and they grow up. They make their sons and daughters 49er fans. And now that sports betting is legal in most of the country, they're going to bet on their favorite team. However, this week, we're not. We're going with Miami getting 2 points at home against San Francisco. System says Miami's a better team. Miami's soft, but they're playing at home. They play different when they're at home. San Francisco's they haven't been able to put it together this year. There's just something off. I don't know what it is. Watched every single game that the 49ers have played this season, of course, like always. And there's something off. It's not the same team. They've had a ton of injuries. I mean, yeah, the injuries are definitely to blame, but there's still something off in the vibes with the team. I don't know what it is. It could be that all their starters that are out were the heartbeat of the team. Dre Greenlaw came back last week. He seems to be really the heartbeat of that defense because, man, did they play different with him in there. He played that whole first half, and he come out in the second half, and that's when the 49ers gave up 3 straight drives at the end of the game that scored field goals, and they lost the game. So I don't know. The system seems to like Miami here, getting the points. Their offensive line has struggled. Bosa played. They're supposed to play this week, and if he does, he could feast on that offensive line. But Mike McDaniel is the head coach in Miami. Who did Mike McDaniel come up through the NFL with? Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has owned the guys that have come in under him. Mike McVay came in under him. Head coach in Green Bay came in from under him. McDaniel at Miami has come in under him. But the thing is, this year, the 49ers just haven't been able to put it together, and he lost 2 to McVay. He hasn't done that since like 2018. So it was like 6 straight seasons where he's whooping on the Rams. He's beat Green Bay just about every time he's played them when he's had a healthy starting quarterback. This year they played with a backup, Kyle Allen. I think if he had Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock, I think his record against these guys is he's got like an 80% winning clip. When he gets a backup quarterback in there, he's not doing well. Today he'll have a starter. System likes Miami better. See if they can get their offense going. They just seem to be more comfortable in that heat. I don't know what the temperature is supposed to be down there, but hopefully for us it will be hot. San Francisco will be mentally checked out. San Francisco has a 1% chance to make the playoffs. Mike McDaniel wants to beat his former mentor, his buddy, one of his best friends. He wants to beat Kyle Shanahan because Kyle. They played Miami. San Francisco's played Miami once or twice since McDaniel's been the head coach, and I know at least once San Francisco whooped on them. I'm sure Mike McDaniel's got this circled. I'm sure it's going to be his team, his message to the team. Hey, this is personal. Hey, we need to come through. Hey, we need to show the world. Hey, everybody's going to be paying attention to this game. It's an interconference game. We talked about the interconference games when you're the away team, just like the Bills were when they went to the Rams. San Francisco's going to Miami. That's another facet of this game. I'm going to shut up about it. We're going to take Miami. I mind the Miami getting 2 points at home against San Francisco. Lock it in. Here, last game of the week that we got, Tampa Bay Buccaneers head to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Tampa's 3.5-point favorites. System says Tampa's the better team. This is going to be, I think this will be a good game, honestly. I think Dallas has played decently well with Cooper Rush. You know, when they got some guys back on defense, they seem to be playing better. They've got a little bit of a running game now, but they haven't been playing a bunch of great teams. I mean, they beat Washington. That was a pretty decent win. They beat Carolina up last week. I don't know. They've been playing well, but system says Tampa's the better team. Even 3.5-point favorites. Taking a team like Tampa that can be volatile at times, they can turn the ball over a lot. Playing an away game in an atmosphere like Dallas, it's a little bit scary. But Tampa's leading their division. They're up a game on Atlanta, and they need this win to continue to stay up front. Atlanta's benched Cousins. The whole Atlanta thing is just baffling to me. They passed on Bill Belichick to get Raheem Morris, who was the head coach in Tampa about 12, 13 years ago. Had a 10-6 season his first year. Next year, I think they won 3 games, and he was fired, and he's been an assistant since then. I don't know what Atlanta saw in him. He's not that great. Atlanta benched Cousins, the guy they gave a bag to, for good reason. He's playing like absolute garbage. And, you know, they drafted a rookie quarterback last year and took a lot of heat for that. And, you know, maybe it's paying off. Maybe that was the right call, even though you brought in a quarterback in the offseason who was a free agent. You drafted somebody for the future, and maybe the future is now with them. Who knows? But Tampa's going to be trying to stay atop of that division. They're 8-6. They've got some guys back healthy. Dallas has still got a chance at the playoffs, a very slim one, albeit, but they've got a chance. So both teams have got a lot to play for. We'll see. Can Tampa control the clock? Can they get some big plays? Can Cooper Rush make plays down the field? He's got the offensive weapons for it. We'll see. We're going to lock it in. We're going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -3.5 here on the road. I didn't feel good about last week. I don't know if I feel any better this week. We're taking Tampa -3.5. We're taking Miami +2 at home. We are going to take Minnesota away at Seattle. Another tough game, -2.5. We're going to take the Jets at home +3 against the Rams. Take Tennessee +3.5 at Indy. Whew. We're going to take Carolina +5.5 against Arizona. We're going to take Detroit -7. If we're gonna take, I'm gonna get you a teaser this week. We didn't have a teaser last week. I don't think I had one the week before either. I like to be picky with these teasers, but I think I feel comfortable with Detroit, teasing Detroit down from -7 to -6. So we'll take the Lions -1. All right, we tease them down. Remember, a teaser is however many points. I play with 6-point teasers. If you were to go to a sports book, a casino, where they had a sports book, they would have these long sheets of paper that will say 6-point teasers, and they'll have all these games on there, and they'll have numbers by them, and you fill in the circle on the numbers where you could do, you know, a 6-point teaser. And the more games you put on, the higher your the better winnings you would get if you hit on all of them. Most books make you play 2 or 3 minimum on the 6-pointers, and usually it's a -120. So you'd have to bet $120 to win $100 profit or win back $220. That's how I play it. So 6 points means whatever team that you like on there, you give them 6 points. So Detroit's -7. We're giving them 6. They're going to go -1. In the second game here, I think we're going to go Minnesota. We're going to tease them. I know the two of the best teams in the NFC. Yeah, real, real big risk here, Altizer. Yeah, really. So we're gonna move it from -2.5 to +4.5. Uh, you're taking the better teams here. You're taking one to just basically win by 2 points or more, which, you know, the average point differential in a game in the NFL is 3 points. I think the second is 4 points. So you're just saying that the Lions are better than the Bears. I could deal with that. And the next one, you're saying that Minnesota will lose by 4 points or less. 3 points and 4 points, I think, are the two most common point differentials in the NFL. So all we got to say is, hey, Minnesota, don't lose by more than 4 points against Seattle. Seattle's a good team. They're not bad. But I don't see anybody else on here that stands out to me that would make me feel as comfortable as these two teams. These are the two most consistent teams in the NFL. So let's lock it in here. I'm going to stick with it. Win or lose, I'm going to own it. What the advice I'm giving out here? The Lions -1 and the Minnesota Vikings that would be 3.5. I screwed that up. Not 4.5, 3.5. Yes, sorry, 3.5 there for the Vikings, not 4.5. My maths is off. Still, you're saying the Minnesota lose by less than a field goal or less to the Seahawks. I think they can pull it off. I think they're going to want the win. I think Seattle will put up a fight. I don't think that they've got enough to stay in the game unless there are major mistakes by Sam Darnold. That's it. That'll do it. Guys, thanks for tuning in all season long. This is a lot of fun. Go out there, have some fun with these NFL games. Don't bet more than you can lose. Don't do anything crazy. And hey, if you've got a good story of a big parlay you won, big teaser, a ticket, something, shoot me a message on Facebook. Send me a screenshot of it. And, I can even talk about it on here. If you used any of our picks to help you do that, I would appreciate it. I would love to hear about it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas. I will be back for week 17 next week. Thanks for tuning in so long.